This is Act 3, Scene 2 from The Merchant of Venice by William Shakespeare. The act starts with a dialogue between Bassanio and Portia. Portia was negotiating with Bassanio about delaying the casket picking process. All Portia wanted was just to spend some time with Bassanio, because if Bassanio picks the wrong casket, Portia can no longer spend time with him. However, Bassanio stated that it would be a torture to wait and pick. Therefore, Bassanio got his chance to pick his casket now, and Portia states a wonderful speech for him. Firstly, it is quite unnoticeable, but the speech is written in a blank verse, which is an iambic pentameter that does not rhyme. Writing in an iambic pentameter is a technique which Shakespeare uses very often. Iambic pentameter creates a rhythm, and it makes it easier for readers to read and understand. Secondly, Portia uses several dictions which expresses her aggressive love towards Bassanio. Let's look at the first line of her speech. Portia states that she is locked in one of them. Them represents caskets. She is locked in caskets. She is clearly stating that her photo is locked in a casket and she is desperate to get out of there. In other words, she really hopes that Bassanio could pick the right casket and get her portrait out of there. Continuing on to the next line, Portia reveals her trust in Bassanio's love. We may interpret this in a way that Portia is a very obsessed person by the idea of love. The obsession is repetitively mentioned throughout Portia's speech, and this does not only demonstrate Portia's obsession, but also conveys her massive love. Moreover, pointing out at line 53. Portia uses the diction summon. The definition of summon is urgently call on someone to be present. The word is used in a phrase of summon him to marriage, which has a connotation that Portia wants to rush the marriage between herself and Bassanio. Lastly, looking at line 61. Live thou, I live. This sentence builds up a new characteristic to Portia of being overly attached. She is really obsessed with Bassanio and the fact that she loves him. However, it is indeed a questionable sentence. If Bassanio did not choose the right casket, would Portia die just like how she would live if he lived? It's a question to ask yourself. Thirdly, comparisons, similes, and metaphors have been made. From line 46 to 47, Portia says, "My eye shall be the stream, and water a deathbed for him." Literally, it is impossible, but metaphorically, Portia is going to do it. This is an action which Portia was not willing to do for any other man, which brings us to the thought that Portia really loves Bassanio, and she is willing to express her sadness to Bassanio by crying a river for him. The exaggeration of sadness creates an atmosphere of sadness and possibilities that Bassanio might pick the wrong casket. This intensifies the plot as a whole, making the play more interesting. Moving on, in line 55, Portia compares Bassanio to Alcides, aka Hercules. However, she dramatizes Bassanio and compares his love to Hercules' love. She states that Bassanio's love is greater and deeper. Therefore, Bassanio will 100% pick the right casket, and she's sure. And she doubts that he will pick the wrong one. Then Portia states herself as a sacrifice, building up a connotation of how her love is unlimited and it is all for Bassanio. In between Portia's speech, she doesn't forget to care for Bassanio. In line 44, let music sound while he doth make his choice. She commanded to play music while he chooses so that when he fails to choose the casket, the music can create an atmosphere just right for the transition to sadness. However, if Bassanio wins, there will be immediate party and feast. This was a small, thoughtful care from Portia, because whatever the situation will be, she will make a fluent transition so that Bassanio can immediately react and feel like it is reality. I think this speech is very clever and lovely. Portia avoids directly speaking her true feelings, but she manages to envelope it and make it sound even sweeter. Thank you.